This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
So when you go through years of misunderstanding and putting things on Pat because of his choices in life, to those that have never met the man, and say things like that, I say, fuck you. Because there was not a better, warmer, decent human being. I love throughout all this going back and finding pictures of Pat with the kids when they were babies.
Yep.
And it was, I don't know who was happier that I had kids, me or Pat and Louie. And they were just, we lost Louie, in the middle of that. And he was so influential in all of our lives that, we talked about naming our kids Pat and Louie. Having a boy and a girl, hey, it works. However the fuck you want to slice it. And we changed that, but still, it's the whole life when you I don't know. People sometimes will sit there and go, so they'll say, would it fire? I don't care what people say. Sat there the other day and realized that more than half of my life was spent with Vince and Pat. And, there was 10 years there I was gone from the company, but I still had a relationship with Vince and Pat. And Pat came to our shows when we did live shows and sang, did his karaoke and was a part of it and told stories and opened up. And I think that allowed people to see him and hear him in a different way. But Pat Patterson, the man, was able to help me through navigate. Now, think about that, man. Here's a guy that came to the States not understanding the language, lived his dream, was a gay man in a straight man's business, as they always would say, and succeeded, overexceeded, and excelled, and was the best at what he did. Changed and innovated a business that some people would probably say he never should have been in. Well, not only should he have been in it, it wouldn't be the same if there were not a Pat Patterson. He did things he didn't have to do. He would make sense of things for me, spell it out, where I'm a kid and I don't know. I reacted a certain way, and I probably reacted immaturely. And here's a guy that doesn't have to taking the time to explain to me how I could have handled things differently. And the little tweaks in my life that Pat made, much like the little tweaks that Pat made in stories that he told, made all the difference in my life. 2 words, what if? Instead of telling the boss, the owner of the company, the chairman, God damn, that idea just sucks. It's fucking stupid. I don't get it. Taught me how to approach it from a viewpoint of, okay, if you disagree with it, cool. Come up with an alternative and present it as a what if, not your idea sucks, mine's better. If your idea has merit, what if we tried this? And that applies in everybody in every every wake of life and your personal life, your business life, whatever. And Pat taught me to love people for who they are and what they are, not stereotypes and what you think or definitely not what other people think. I have the utmost respect and love for that man that I could only hope that every one of you listening have someone in your life that, like a Pat Patterson, he's a genius. He was the best friend you could ever ask for, man. Do whatever he wanted. Always there to listen. You always knew where he stood. And I love him. And he's going to be missed. Already is. This has been one of the worst weeks of my life. And sorry about that. Losing someone in your life is always hard, but losing someone that is a part of your life and a part of you is even harder. And Pat was so much a part of me. And Jerry Briscoe and I were talking last night, and just, he was so much more. He was so much more than somebody we worked with. And in this business, you have so many acquaintances and you have so many people you know. You have very few true friends that you can say, hey, he's my friend. And I love him. And Pat Patterson, my friend, I love you. And I didn't, couldn't tweet, couldn't talk. I mean, Vince and I all week would avoid the subject alone and just tell stories. And some of those I told today. And I'm just sad that I won't have any more. But I'm thankful and grateful for the years that I got to spend and be with him. And to anybody that's a fan of this business, you'll never know the contributions that man made to this business over the last 50 years. And 50 years from now, when somebody says, hey, grab a quick one, that's a Pat Patterson quick one. When somebody else says, up a case, that's Pat Patterson. When you're talking about the 100th Royal Rumble, wouldn't be if that wasn't Pat Patterson. And when you talk about one of the greatest workers, the greatest minds of this business, you're still going to be talking about Pat Patterson and the single best finish man in the business. And that's Pat Patterson. And he's touched so many people's lives and you don't even know it. And that's all I got. Because it's, again, I couldn't tweet. I couldn't find the words. I couldn't. And when I called you to say, hey, Audible, it's just because I had to get it out, and it was my way of dealing. And there's so much more. Fuck, we haven't even done a deep dive.
No, and we will. I mean, I think we made the right call. I'm so proud to be a part of this show and to pay homage to your great friend. And it's weird because there's so many tentacles to all of this. I think sometimes we fans just think it's, it happens when we turn the TV on, and then when we turn the TV off, it's over. But of course I'm friends with your wife, Stephanie, on Facebook. And when all this happened, she posted a lot of family candid photos through the years of you guys and the kids and Pat and Louie. And for the first time, I texted you a couple days ago and said, I just watched Pat's Hall of Fame speech for the very first time. I never saw it. And obviously the company was in a different place back then, but to just see Pat be so proud to receive that award, and you could see the affection he had for Vince when he thanked him, not only for what he had done for wrestling. And he said, in whatever year it was in the mid 90s, can you imagine wrestling being any bigger than this? But he's going to find a way. And thank you for that. But mostly thank you for being my friend. And you see the smile come across Vince's face, and you just know, I think that's Vince's mom seated to his left. This is a family thing. And it's so wild to see that. And then at the end, again, this is the mid 90s, a different time. He said, I'm going to do this for the very first time. I want to thank a very special guy in my life, a very dear friend, and a companion. And he thanked Louie and said he was going to share this award with him. What a fucking touching moment, man, because, this sounds silly now in the context of 2020, but back then that was a big deal. And he was such an innovator and a trailblazer, and so brave, and such a creative genius, and so giving. And yeah, it's immeasurable, the impact he's had, not only on the WWF and not only professional wrestling, but the world, people. And we lost a great one. And there's no way that we can do a show like this and really tell that story in a couple of hours. So we're going to do another deep dive on Pat some other time. As I said, I've got 46 pages of notes. I'm rip roaring ready to go. But Bruce, I just wanted today, give you a chance to not talk about what he did, but to talk about how he made you feel, because that's really the memory from the people who knew him the most. It's not the inventor of the Royal Rumble. It's not the first Intercontinental Champion. It's, hanging a noose with Hulk Hogan and peeing all around the car and gimmicking up the steak sauce, and then taking the time with a young, brash, cocky, thinks he's got life figured out office guy and saying, hey, now let me teach you about life. He was all of that to everyone. And to hear it from your perspective, I don't think we could have done him any more justice today. So thank you for being open and honest and vulnerable and real. And Pat Patterson will be sorely missed by a lot of people.
He will. And thank you all for listening and giving a shit enough to listen. Pat is the guy that so many ways just made it all happen. And for me personally, kept my happy ass together. And, Godspeed. And I love you, Pat. And, you are missed.
We'll be back next week with another episode of Something to Wrestle. He's at Bruce Prichard. I am at Hey, it's Conrad. And none of that matters. Pat Patterson was 79. Okay.
Yeah, fuck. I need to get that shit out. I am pretty good. Fuck me, man. What a fucked up week.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.